Often demanded, now delivered, an electric motorcycle test in the Alps. Designed as a touring motorcycle, the Energica Experia rises to the challenge in the heart of the Dolomites. E-mobility is a fast-moving field. Just last year, Energica introduced a new engine. Nevertheless, the engineers at the electric specialist and Moto e-supplier founded in Modena in 2014 are talking about a completely new development for the powertrain of the touring motorcycle. To be able to classify this, you have to look behind the scenes. Energica was taken over by the US company Ergonomic in 2021. Their portfolio includes a number of companies with a wealth of expertise in the field of electric propulsion, and Energica, as a two-wheeler specialist, fits the bill perfectly. The result, the new second-generation EMCE motor and the new battery, which is now the largest on the market with a capacity of 22.5 kWh, is impressive. The weight of both components has been reduced compared with their respective predecessors. In total, more than 20 kilograms have been saved, due to the maximum charging power of 24 kW. The charging time from 0–80% on a level 3 divided by DC fast charger is around 40 minutes. Energica is the only manufacturer on the market, which offers in addition to fast charging also level 2 charging with 240 volt, and level 1 charging with 120 volt in order to be able to charge, for example, overnight at the household socket. The also newly developed motor offers a peak power of 102 horsepower and a continuous power of 80 horsepower. The torque is 85 feet-lb. Acceleration without gear changes is still a blast. The Energica accelerates from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3.5 seconds. At a speed of 112 miles per hour, the Energica Experia is limited. The new Experia is said to offer the highest range among all electric motorcycles. According to Energica, the range is 208 km in pure country road mode, 256 km. The new Experia is said to offer the highest range among all electric motorcycles. According to Energica, the range is 208 km in pure country road mode, 256 km combined and 420 km in pure city mode. The value determined according to the WMTC method, as known from the automotive sector, is now also known and amounts to 222 kilometers. As we all know, paper is patient, so the Experia had to be put to the test in the Dolomites. In a sporty morning lap of about 60 kilometers, the battery lost about 27% of the charge according to the display. Extrapolating this power consumption results in a range of 222 kilometers. This corresponds exactly to the value determined according to WMTC. If you apply this to an average daily trip, you get a useful rhythm. After 200 kilometers in the morning, the battery is fully charged again during lunch. If you want to do more than 200 kilometers after that, you should look for another fast charger somewhere along the way where you can spend the coffee break. This way, approx. 30% is still in the battery and the day's tour can be up to 500 kilometers long. Overnight, the battery is then slowly and gently charged to full capacity in the hotel. By the way, the battery offers full power up to 10% state of charge. Touring with the Energica Experia is therefore possible. Even better possible than with all other electric motorcycles on the market, but still requires more coordination and planning than with a combustion engine motorcycle. It is difficult to classify the Experia or to put it in a drawer with combustion motorcycles of a certain class. The tire dimensions speak for a sport tourer, but it is probably a bit too heavy at 260 kilograms. It lacks suspension travel and ground clearance to be an adventure bike. And even if you chose Pirelli Scorpion Trail 2 as the first tire, I would strongly advise against off-road stages, but simple gravel roads are no problem. That leaves the term crossover, which I do not particularly appreciate as a categorization, since everything is simply thrown in here that has no place elsewhere. If I had to name a comparable combustion engine bike, it would be the Kawasaki Versys 1000S. Let's get to the points where the Energica is simply allowed to be fun, without thoughts of charging stations and ranges, because riding an e-motorcycle is always something special. The bare performance data is not enough to show how intense the acceleration on the Experia is. The excellently tuned traction control allows the pilot to vehemently turn the handlebars without a guilty conscience. The results are always spectacular. Pure propulsion from 0 km per hour without traction interruption. The power delivery is 100% linear. The throttle response is extremely pleasant. From 120 km per hour, the vehement propulsion decreases somewhat, but in the Dolomites this is of no consequence. After all, a speed limit of 60 km per hour applies on long stretches. A real advantage of all electric motorcycles is also that they offer the same amount of power at 2000 meters above sea level as in the valley, since here there are no explosions in the engine that rely on the oxygen available in the air. Especially in hairpin turns, the aforementioned advantages are a real treat. And the Energica Experia also offers enough lean angle so that you truly don't have to fear any opponent here. The 3 freely configurable modes are a useful feature, especially in the mountains, For example, it makes sense to combine the highest level of engine braking, which equals recuperation, with the highest power level. In fact, in the pre-configured sport mode, recuperation is at the weakest level, so-called sailing. With the maximum recuperation level, it can happen that a few percent of the battery charge is returned to the battery after the descent from the top of the pass, and the brake is also spared. The braking system on the Experia would also look good on a sports bike. Unbelievable how hard the monoblock calipers bite into the 330mm double disc. The rear end can quickly become light, however, thanks to the clear pressure point, easy dosing and, last but not least, the latest generation Bosch ABS. It never becomes dangerous. The suspension elements on the Experia also keep up well with the performance of the drive and deceleration unit. The front and rear suspension travel of 150mm let you glide confidently over the rough mountain roads. The Sachs fork is fully adjustable. The rear shock is adjustable in rebound and preload. The latter, unfortunately, not conveniently by handwheel, but old school by means of hook wrench, which one would wish differently in 2022. Generally, tools are needed for all adjustments to the chassis, which meant that I could not adapt the set basic setup, which was a bit too soft for me on the short test lap. When I asked about future developments, Energica let me have a look at its cards. An electric chassis is being planned. Such a chassis would fit the Experia wonderfully and thus wipe the adjustment problem off the table at once. The higher weight and cost that this would entail could not be commented on at the moment. Anyone who has ever ridden one of the currently available Energica models knows that up to now they have not really taken it seriously with the pillion suitability. But here, too, a completely new chapter has been opened. Firstly, the seat offers a lot of comfort and space for the pillion passenger. The knee angle is relaxed and the wedge-shaped end against the driver, and the grippy material. There is also no slipping forward when braking. Secondly, the Experia offers a payload of 242 kilograms and is thus in the top range of current touring motorcycles again. Thirdly, the side panniers and top case developed in cooperation with Givi offer no less than 112 liters of volume and thus enough space for an extended tour for two. The launch edition also features handguards and heated grips. In my view, two must-have extras if you're serious about traveling by motorcycle, making it a genuinely interesting option despite the extra price of around 2,000 euros. The crawling gear, on the other hand, which works both forwards and backwards, is already standard in the standard version and makes maneuvering much easier, especially when fully loaded. A real shortcoming on all Energicas, which unfortunately has not been eradicated even on the brand new Experia. Safe parking of the motorcycle is only possible on level ground due to the lack of a conventional gearbox and parking brake. Although the accessories market has already addressed the problem, it remains incomprehensible why the manufacturer does not consider a standard independent solution here. The wind protection on the Experia is good up to the center of the body, the windshield with absolutely practical adjustment mechanism, but little adjustment range is somewhat narrow, with a body height of 1.87 meters. This leaves my shoulders and head partly exposed to the wind and weather. There will probably be more variants in the accessories. Ergonomically, Energica has made a big hit with its first touring bike. The knee angle is on the more acute side, but the width and positioning of the handlebars are spot on and the seat has just the right mix of comfortable and firm. The seat height of 847mm looks more threatening on paper than it is in practice. The narrow saddle results in a relatively small crotch measurement. The operating concept doesn't pose any riddles either, although the font size in the TFT display was chosen to be relatively small. The price of the Energica Experia for Austria, Germany and Switzerland and the rest of the world, except the USA, is 23,685 euros plus VAT. The launch variant, available from September 2022 initially exclusively, will cost 25,590 euros excluding tax. The charging cable for household sockets is included in the scope of delivery. Fast charging cables cost approx. $250–500 depending on the manufacturer. The Energica Experia makes traveling by e-motorcycle seem within reach. Here is a fairly mature, practical travel motorcycle, still at a relatively high price and with room for improvement here or there, but all in all a potent exclamation mark. Chapeau.